Hi there, and welcome back to episode 3 of my tutorial series for Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. I'm Icon, and we're going to continue conquering this game together. So, in this episode, I plan to dive at least down to Dungeon 6, basically the point where I have ran away from in the last episode, and we're going to find, hopefully, access to a god in this episode, so we get some religious gameplay going on, and let's see what we'll find in between, and hopefully I'll survive. Let's get going. So, there's one thing about Dungeon Crawl in general, and that's you really never know what's in store for you every game. This game does this really, really good, and let's see what we'll find this time. We're at Dungeon 3, so after running through a couple of dungeon levels that were a lot harder than that, I feel pretty confident. Oh, there's an unknown scroll. So now that I have magic mapping and teleportation out of a pile, I will ID them wherever I stand. So this one was a scroll of noise. You hear an angry hiss. You hear a shout. Okay, so I produced a lot of noise and attracted enemies into my direction. But to me, that's okay. Let them come, and we're going to take them down. Oh, that's the first encounter with gnolls. So gnolls are the physical damage dealing packs that will challenge your management with larger enemy groups for the first time, because they always come in quite large numbers. And a couple of things about them: they have decent HP. 13 is okay. It's enough to make it hard to kill them in one go. They often wear armor that makes it even harder, and they have a base damage of 6 plus the weapon they're wielding. So a club, that doesn't do too much damage. The flail back there does a lot more damage, and gnolls love to spawn with pole arms, and I'm going to explain what that means once we are in that situation. So the first thing I do is I take them way back from this area here and kite them back to, let's say, this corridor. I took them away from this place here to try to separate the pack. The less of these dudes I have to fight at once, the better. So we're smacking them here, and stuff's working out quite decently, but they took me down to almost 50% of my HP. So that's pretty nasty. And we looted potions and throwing nets. Throwing nets are really, really good, and also very dangerous. And there's the next gnoll around the corner with a halberd. The halberd wielding gnolls are among the most dangerous of their brethren, because a halberd deals around, I think, 14 or 15 base damage, and together with 6 base damage on their own, they can deal around 20 points of damage. But what's the worst about it? They can deal that damage when they're standing on this marked tile right there already. That's the special trait of pole arms, so they can even do that on over the head of their buddies, making them a very, very dangerous pack. And the most bad thing about this is this dude has realized that I'm here, and I don't want to fight this at 50% HP. So I speed down the hallway towards that staircase, press 5 in the center of the num block, rest up, and go downstairs again, and try that again. So we're going to get close, and I have to accept that he can have a whack at me. And usually, when I'm max HP and all, I'm not too afraid about the danger of one of these dudes. That's 13, but you get the idea. That's a lot of damage from afar. That's why that's really the most dangerous gnoll that you have to worry about, is the one with the halberd. When they come with spears, they can do the same trick, like attacking on over the head of another, but they can't deal that much damage, because spears deal a lot less damage. Hey, look at that. Here we have a first room door. Behind that door is a ghost of a player. So we examined that dude, and this was once a hill orc cinder acolyte. So you can see this dude can deal up to 13 damage plus weapon of flaming. And here's the good news: you don't have to open this door. The ghost can't leave this crypt as long as you don't open that door. And Auto Explore won't accidentally touch these doors either. These are optional encounters. One of these ghosts yields a lot of XP, and it's generally pretty much worth it tackling that, if you can. It's a game of risk, and the worst thing about it, I think the ghosts can't follow you down and up staircases, but I'm not sure about that. They got changed in the time that I played Crawl. Alright, we found Natasha. Natasha is a Felid, so she's a weird enemy that has access to a ranged spell, can summon imps, and can slow you. So the thing about Natasha is she has to be killed 3 times. When you take her down, she will randomly respawn somewhere on the level. And we're going to try to take that Atropa dart on her, and success. Here, the confusion and blindness is extremely powerful because that shuts down spellcasters. They can't cast spells while they're confused, and while they're blind, every spell that's flinging a missile at you has a higher chance to miss you. So we took her down once, that brought us to XP level 6, and now, well, while we're exploring, we will now meet Natasha a couple of times more. So she is among the more she can be really dangerous. Natasha on dungeon level 3 is pretty nasty, but not if you're a Minotaur that can topple down her pretty low HP pool with 1 or 2 blows. Biggest power of hers lies in the combo of slowing and having a decent evasion rating and access to some summoning spell. Let's try out that scroll, I'm curious. Identify, finally. So I'm going to start identifying the potions I have the most of first. Potion of Curing. Potion of Curing is among the most common potions in the loot table. Therefore, if you're looking for a Potion of Curing, always try to ID the largest stack first. Can work. It's a game of chance, though. It's really a game of chance, but it's a game of chance where you have the odds slightly in your favor. The next thing I'll ID are always the larger stacks. Berserk Rage. Berserk Rage is cool. Berserk Rage is kind of like the bigger cousin of the Might Potion. It not only gives you more power in your swings, you also gain a lot of temporal HP. So you go super Saiyan mode. But the problem is once the Berserk Rage wears off, you're weak. So you have to get the job done during that Berserk Rage. But for a Minotaur fighter, that's working out quite decently. So we're taking down Natasha here just like that. And, well, I'm going to roam around here a little bit and see if I can find her. So here we go. There we go. And once you see that message, you feel Natasha's spirit has finally been put to rest. You're done with her. But if you can't kill her as easily like I did, like I could here, you can very simply milk her for some XP. As cruel as that might sound. So let's check out our skill levels here in between. I'm quite happy with the progress. Evocations is at 2 points. I want to bring evocations roughly to a level of 5 or 6 to give my wands a good boost. Now, let's get downstairs. So, there's an Ice Beast. Ice Beasts are pretty nasty. Let's press X and examine that thing. So, they deal 5 points of damage with 1 attack, plus 15 extra cold damage. That's the problem about them. We can press the... oh my god, which button was that again? Give me a sec. So sometimes, yeah, here, the percent button for the character overview. That's a pretty nifty thing to see. So when you go there, you see your resistances. Luckily, we got that scale mail of cold resistance. Whenever you face an enemy that has that extreme obvious tag of elemental damage on it, like an Ice Beast, always good to check out if you have resistance already. Then go into your inventory and check out. Maybe you have a ring you can put on or something like that in your pockets. But not in this scenario. We already have cold resistance, so let's fling an Atropa dart at that thing and close in and see. Well, didn't even scratch my armor. Wonderful. So let's ID Potions of Haste. Good stuff. Potions of Haste increase your movement speed, and that's glorious. This lets you run away from situations which you normally can't escape from, and also it makes you way more effective in combat if you want to face situations head-on. So really good stuff, very rare, and you should keep them as a valuable treasure for life-threatening situations. And here's that ogre we faced in the last episode. Remember him? He's not red anymore, because we got more powerful. So I want to do something this time I didn't do the last time. We're going to use a throwing net this time. So I'm going to fire this on this dude. And a throwing net makes it extremely difficult for the entrapped person to attack by themselves. It strips their blocking skill, and they can't attack you as long as they are in a net. So 50% of the HP of the ogre are already gone. Let's carefully take a few swings, and we got him down. The bad thing about nets, they have a limit. They break practically every time you use them, but you can debuff a melee enemy pretty massively with these, even down to high difficulty levels and against extremely dangerous enemies. So here we go. We found the entrance to the ecumenical temple. That's a good place to be. Let's enter that and explore that with Auto Explore. So here we finally find those shrines of the gods. Let me quickly explore that completely, please. So here you see there's lots of shrines of different gods. There are tons of different gods in this game. We're going to select one that I find pretty fitting for my playstyle here, but sadly that god is not present here. Too bad. We don't have a Shrine of Okawaru here, the god of honorable combat. So we're going to leave this place slightly disappointed, but don't you worry. Of all the gods that are available in the game, and there's a lot of them, you will encounter one shrine of them, of the standard gods, sooner or later. I say standard gods because there are a couple of rarer gods to encounter, but more about that at a more fitting moment. So we leave that place. I'm looking for a specific god, and you can also press Alt F to search for something, and I know that the god is called Okawaru. I'll check that, and I haven't found a shrine of that yet. Alt F is your best friend when it comes down to finding stuff. So where's Control F? Don't know. My keyboard confuses me. Okay, we read another scroll. A scroll of immolation. So immolation scrolls let your enemies explode. They are, well, they put an inner fire into every enemy visible, and when they die, they will violently explode. And this can be extremely useful for triggering chain reactions where you kill the firstmost enemy and kill everything behind him. But this has to be taken with some caution, because you will be standing in that explosion too if you are a melee person. So take that into account and bring fire resistance. Alright, let's do this and go deeper. And adder. And we found now Spellbook. Spellbooks, if you pick them up, you will get access to the spells they include. When you press capital M for memorizing, you have access to all the spells that you have absorbed into your library via looting books. So since we aren't inclined to go for spellcasting, we're going to go just forward and leave that for you if you want to go spellcasting one day. Maybe we will learn some spellcasting in the course of that series. Something very basic, I'm not sure. Another ID scroll. Potion of Heal Wounds. Now that's really good. So Potions of Heal Wounds are bringing a lot of healing on the table, while potions of curing bring only a low amount of healing on the table, but they also cure poison and confusion. So if you want to just close your wounds, a heal wounds potion is way to go. If you want to get rid of a nasty condition, like poison, that's the way to go. So I feel comfortable enough now to go auto-exploring on D5, because everything we are facing so far simply gets annihilated. But we are facing now slowly a ever bigger problem, and that's the fact that a +0 longsword will be outdated quite soon. As soon as you're getting closer to Dungeon 6 and below, you should aim towards a branded weapon. So let's go into, I think it's Control F, but on my, I don't know. I have a wrongly labeled keyboard, in case you're wondering, but it's either Alt F or Control F. Just try it on your own end. And you're searching for a brand, and this shows you every branded item. So you remember that Dagger of Freezing? It's not really a strong item. It's a lot weaker than the one that I'm wielding, so I'm not interested in that. You can, with this search menu, also just find everything in the dungeon. So you can also check for shop, and it will show you every shop. You can search for, I think, sword, and it will show you every sword. It's a very, very vital and useful function to check out if something in the dungeon is somewhere. I love to use that because, you know, you can't keep track of all that clutter all by your own. That's how you do it in this game. We found a Spectral quarterstaff. Well, that's sadly a two-handed weapon, but it would be a strong weapon, but I don't want to use two-handed weaponry here. So let's keep going. Auto-explore a bit, another unknown scroll, and it was a Scroll of Torment. A Scroll of Torment halves the HP of everything in the vicinity around you, but so everybody who's not undead will suffer 50% of his max HP as immediate damage. Pretty nasty stuff. So we're back to D6 now. This time for good, this time we're going to take it. So let's see what we're going to find here. So there's a pair of gloves. It's a +1 pair of gloves. So pick it up, press capital W for wearing, and put that on. So this brought us 2 points of AC. Let's get into the character menu, person button, and check that out. So as a Minotaur, we see these are our inventory slots. My helmet slot is restricted, that comes because of the horns, and I still have room for a cloak, boots, an amulet, and another ring. So there's a lot of things we could still pick up, but I'm very grateful for the gauntlets. All these auxiliary slots, boots, gauntlets, cloaks, they can rack up a really nice amount of AC for early levels that can bring you pretty far. So another scroll, let's use that. Enchant weapon, well, okay. Enchant weapon increases the 2-hit bonus and the damage of your weapon by 1. The maximum there is always +9, then you can't enhance it further. So here's a +1 hat. Here's a fun fact, Minotaurs actually can wear hats. Helmet restriction does not mean that it's forbidden, it just has to be something that is compatible with horns. But there's a good thing, the game will gray out all the items that you can't wear out of any reason whatsoever, so you don't have to worry about whether or not you can wear it. The game will show you very, very precisely pretty quickly. Alright, there's another ogre. So let's see if I can slap an ogre now without any precaution, and the answer is yes. We have by now a pretty decent amount of fighting, long blades, and armor together. That's giving us a decent punching power. So let's see, that was the entrance to that bonus level. In the last episode I got shafted down onto this level, and the problem with these bonus levels is that their entrance is only open for a certain amount of time, and then they collapse. So when I entered this dungeon level involuntarily, I activated the timer of that entrance, and you know, once the timer runs, it doesn't matter on what dungeon level you are, it will run out eventually. So I took that as a as a sad thing, because I would have loved to clear out the sewer, but well, we're not going to get that bonus level. There are certain bonus levels that will show up randomly in your runs. The sewer is only one of them, and there's never a guarantee that they show up or not show up, so we won't know if we'll be seeing another sewer in the next level. So yeah, it's a little bit sad, but we can change it. Surviving in that situation was more important, and if you are in a situation like that, well, you can get greedy and try out what'll happen, but most of the time, if you want to win, it's wiser to be a coward. So this place here is a pretty nasty, but well, it could be worth it. So this is a unique boss called Crazy Youth. He's always coming with a quarterstaff of chaos and a cloak. The cloak can be also enchanted, but the quarterstaff of chaos is fixed. Chaos branded weapons are extremely random and can be extremely dangerous. Basically, when somebody with a chaos branded weapon whacks you, it's entirely random what can happen. It can't even heal you. But in the worst case, you're being banished into the abyss and you have to fight yourself out of a area that's way beyond our power level right now. So we don't want you to touch us. But usually you could just leave that ruined door closed and nothing would happen. But there's this dazzling maze. I don't know if you can see it on the video here, but it has a bright white color. That's a artifact item, a randomized artifact item, and it would be pretty powerful. So to get that thing, well, I don't know. I don't feel comfy enough to try that. I could sip in a potion of haste though and solve that problem. So let's do just that. So let's sip in a potion of haste, open the door, and I'll start to run away now. With a potion of haste, I'm faster than him, so he can't touch me with this staff. So we're now going to quiver that throwing net, and let's toss that on him and start whacking and kill him with that. So Chaos branded weapons are also not safe for yourself to use, because when you unwield them, you will suffer from one of these chaos effects yourself. It's like whacking yourself when you unwield them, and also you have no clue what they'll do to your enemy. So I'd rather not recommend to use them. So this is a +9 mace. So this is a pretty difficult situation. The mace has lower base damage than my sword, 2 less, but it's +9, so its base damages are insanely high. It lowers my strength and will increase the following things. It will give me resistance to poison, resistance to cold, resistance to negative energy, that's life-draining effects, but it'll lower my strength. And it's also coming with a Spectral brand. So we're going to take that as an opportunity nevertheless, and I'll trade out into maces and flails, because a +9 weapon is so much stronger than my longsword right now that I'm eagerly swapping this for now, and we'll just hope that we'll find another mace to swap that out later. But for now, the best thing about a +9 mace is that it's extremely easy to use, because the +9 comes with an extremely high chance to hit as well. And here's a Hornet. Hornets are absolute killer machines, and Dungeon 6 is a very early place to meet them. That's why it's also marked red. The problem about the Hornets is they can sting for a terrible amount of damage. 18 damage is really a lot. And they can paralyze you outright or slow you. And, you don't want to get paralyzed by something that can deal that much damage. And the worst part about it is they're even freaking fast. So we're going to try if we can use that Wand of Charming, and it worked. So I quivered that just like any other projectile, and I fired it at the Hornet just like any other projectile weapon. So that's that. Now that I have this thing converted, you see it has this nice green circle around it. Now, if you press small t, you get access to the ally command system. So you see here, if a couple of things that you can do: attack a new target, yada yada yada. What we're going to do is press A for attack a new target, and then press dot to send that hornet on its way to destruction. So we're now going to take the hornet one more time and send it attacking this orc priest, selecting it and press dot and run away. Run away. Took down the priest for us, and now we're sending it on the phantom. There we go. Oh, I got confused by the orc wizard. So this is a absolute good opportunity to sip in a potion of curing. I really don't want to be here when the charm spell on that hornet wears off, which is happening right now. So we're going to retreat further here. There's one good thing about all this. As long as there are enemies between you and that hornet, it can't reach you. But there's a piece of bad news. All the upstairs cases are not in my vicinity. So what we're going to do here, this is a pretty nasty situation to be in, and a hornet is extremely deadly. So it would be totally okay to pop a scroll of teleportation, but we're going to try and utilize the scroll of the wand of charming even more. So I see that black bear behind that hornet, and therefore I'm going to quiver my wand of charming one more time, and we're going to send these dudes against one another, and let's see. Okay, the hornet won one more time, and that's quite frightening that this thing took down pretty much everything I sent it against, but now it's time to kill it. So we see now it's friendly, and we're now quivering our Atropa dart, and we're going to fire it there. So it asks me if I really want to do this. I second that, and we're going to smack that thing now. I did that right away because right now the hornet had only 50% of its HP. I'm wielding a +9 weapon, so my chances of success here were pretty high. We're also going to set a learning goal, a learning target for those maces now by pressing S while investigating the weapon, so I won't overlearn anything about maces and flails. It is totally viable to change your learning regimen to a completely different weapon if something good crosses your way. Like, you might have been learning long blades for quite a while here. 5 points are nothing to sneeze at, but swapping over to something, if you find a really good weapon, is totally worth it, especially if you're running a character that has such high learning aptitudes towards these weapons, like a Minotaur. Because, you know, I will learn pretty fast, and the lower levels are learned faster than the higher levels. Basically, the higher the skill level, the more XP is necessary to get to the next rank. So here we have a little bit of a orc war party. So I'm not too afraid right now, so we're going to kite them backwards if possible, but they're confusing me again. And you see, I spawned now a spectral version of my Mace of Mutilation. That's what the Spectral brand does. It spawns a autonomous version of your weapon that acts like a minion, and the most nasty thing about it is it comes with its own 10 points of base damage and deals the damage of that respective weapon on top of that, which is pretty massive. The downside of that is whatever hurts the spectral weapon hurts me as well. We share one HP pool basically. And here's a Lajatang. Lajatangs are basically the big brother of the quarterstaff. Sick base damage, nice base attack delay, really fast once you have mastered it, and you only need skill level 14 to learn them. If you want to play somebody who's wielding two-handed weapons, this one would be powerful enough, probably to even end the game with. I don't know how powerful the Spectral brand plays out in the long run. It hasn't been included back when I was winning games. I recently returned to DCSS after a couple of years of a break, and a lot of things have changed, and the Spectral brand is one of the new things. Alright, so we're now seeing an ogre not much more, no longer as a big threat, and that's the kind of evolution we took, since we're now character level 8, and my skills here are looking good. What I'm now doing, though, is I'm going to turn off evocations for now, because 5.6 points are enough, and I only have one wand of charming charge left, and that's all. I've got 320 gold pieces, though, so let's go into the search menu again with Control F or Alt F. Don't know. Maybe oh, I think I know what happened there. So, funny story. I recently emptied a little bit of tea on my keyboard, and while cleaning it, I swapped out the Alt and the Control button now. Control F, of course. Silly me. That was the reason. It happened only 2 days ago, so I was just wondering why that Control button was on the wrong side. So we solved that mystery. So, with that out of the way, let's search for wands. So, as you can see here, I can also see the wands that are in this shop, and I can see what they'll cost, and everything is out of reach. And due to that, I'll turn off learning evocations, because I will turn it back on if I'll find a wealth of wands out of some reason now, but until then, I'll rather spend my experience points and focus into the things that I'll have to learn now, and focus into maces and flails to catch up with that gap I'll still have. By the way, the green things you see here, and that's starting the outro for this one, are cross-learning skills. When I learn maces and flails, a part of that knowledge radiates down to axes. When I learn long blades, a part of that knowledge radiates down to short blades. When I learn throwing, a part of that knowledge radiates down to slings, and so on and so forth. That's cross-training. That's pretty cool, because that means, for example, if I find a good mace, and later on I'll find a kick-ass axe, it will be pretty easy to catch up to that as well. So, that's that. Enough for one episode. I thank you so much for watching. We're going to dive deeper in the next episode, and that's where we're slowly leaving the early game and slithering into the mid-game. Not quite yet, but we're getting there. When you're diving below Dungeon 6, we're slowly getting closer to the mid-game, and I can't wait to see that. As usual, drop your comments down below, leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and of course consider subscribing. There's daily content coming up from me. All you need to do is hit the notification bell and stay tuned. I hope to see you guys next time too. Bye-bye.